Hey, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy, some people are celebrating certain things. We have chosen as a family not to celebrate that day today, but we are, in fact, celebrating just a regular Monday here at the household. So, welcome to the Filthy Truth, the Wellness Edition. Today, we are talking with Jasmine from Organic Therapy. Of course, all of your organic therapy needs, as in acupuncture, detoxes, Thai massages, and then, of course, the essential oils with Clayton. They have everything in the one-stop shop. So make sure that you guys are hitting up the organictherapy.ca and Sacred, what was it? Sacred Lotus Flower. What was that? What was that website? Dang. We have it somewhere. Can you pop that up?
Sacred Lotus
Addicts. It was like, it's a word that I always screw up, and it's a word that I always mess it up. But yes, welcome. Well, there it is. See, that's Clayton. He was on the last 2 weeks, and now we have Jasmine that she's going to be coming on. She's just waiting in the wings. So please, if you guys have any holistic health issues, we are going to talk today about detoxes, and I do want to make sure that while we're talking about detoxes today, that we are also talking about acupuncture. Just, I believe in a world like I talked about in the week 1 of this wellness series, how important it is to have the acupuncture, and how important it is, especially with the stress levels of everybody these days. This is going to be an awesome talk. So yes, happy Gratitude Day to everyone. Please take a moment and just, I understand the hardships, and we understand the struggles, and we understand what life is right now. And so right now we have a huge opportunity to just take a look around us and really be thankful for the things that we do have in our lives. We have a chance to be thankful for our health. We have a chance to be thankful for our families that are still welcoming us. We have a chance to even thank the families that don't welcome us, because they're really teaching us certain lessons that maybe we needed to learn at some point. I know that it's a harder thing to hear, but it is very true that everything does happen for a very specific reason, and whatever that reason is might not divulge itself to you right away, but it will hold itself at some point, and it will reveal why we are going through what we're going through. Okay, I was gone. I was at the lake. This is my first day back. Like, actually, I've only literally been back for about 7 hours in the city, 6-7 hours maybe. And I can tell you that I already missed the lake. I'm not gonna lie, I already missed the lake. It was so really relaxing out there. We got to, we barely had any rain. I heard that it was raining like crazy here in Winnipeg. It was not raining where I was at. We had a little bit of rain last night, but I've been MIA for a little while. I have been gone off of line for a little while. So I am here. How's it going, Michelle, everybody? How are you guys doing? It's really, really great to be back. If you guys didn't hear about the little Project Thanos that happened on Thursday, let's kind of recap that. It was awesome. It was freaking awesome. Had so much fun hosting a whole whack load of different speakers. Nothing. I don't think anybody's heard these people here in Winnipeg speak. So it was really amazing to see so many people engaged with so many different speakers. Of course, we had a vax injured person come on. Her name is April Hawks. If you guys want to share or see her story, I do believe that Shadow Davis had her on the show on Friday last week. So you guys can go back to his channel and take a look at her story. She came on the show and she talked for about 15 minutes before we started everything else off. So she talked about her injuries through the vaccine. She had the AstraZeneca, and it was and this is going to kind of ring into what today's conversation about is, with the detoxes. Then we had Shadow, who came on and talked about the media and the stories that people aren't allowed to talk about. They're, being told that this is the narrative that they are to speak of, and these are the parameters that they can stick within. So Shadow had a really, really amazing show, and he had a lot of amazing examples to follow that. Then we had a little guy by the name of Greg Wycliffe. If you guys don't know this guy, you need to follow him. It is mad crazy important that you do, because he hits these things on a comic level. He is so intelligent. Listening to him speak on Project Thanos was amazing, because this kid, he lives in Ontario. He had all the knowledge of politics and just kind of the behind the scenes, and how he was able to wean this all together through comedy, and how he's doing his skits, and how he's kind of bringing really a sense of light and a sense of delight to people's days. So I wanted to thank Greg Wycliffe personally on this show. So thank you, Greg, for joining us. And of course, Raven was our headlining act, and he really shook things up, I think, almost more boldly and more bluntly than I think I could have ever spoken. Then he was able to be on our Q&A. So we do have the replay available. It is for $10. If you guys are wanting to see the replay, it is $10 to see that. From there, we are still planning to create a 10-part video series with some of that. And then, of course, some of the survival skills out there. That's going to be really, really a lot of fun. And then we are also planning a huge conversation with a girl by, I'm actually not allowed to divulge her name just yet, but she is from Egypt, and she's going to give us a whole backstory. So that is going to be, that's my next big project that I'm working on. And if you guys thought that Raven was a huge hit at Project Thanos, guys, you ain't seen nothing yet, because this girl is going to maybe blow Paulie out of the water. It's going to be insane. So without further ado, we want to talk about wellness tonight. That is what the show is tonight. Tomorrow is a whole filthy truth segment. We're going to talk about everything from Project Thanos. We're going to get through the nitty gritty, and then we are going to talk about the whole nitty gritty of the next conversation and the next Project Thanos, Thanos part 2, Thanos part 3. I don't know. We're going to keep going until all the information is shared out there. So without further ado, we are going to talk about wellness. We're going to talk about detox. We're going to talk about how we can help each other through holistic measures. Please welcome Jasmine from Organic Health. How's it going, Jasmine?
Hi, Lynne. It's organic therapy, actually.
Organic therapy.
That's cool.
And you know what? And I have it right here.
That's okay. That's okay.
Well,
look at me. I'm fuzzy, so everything is okay today.
Yeah, Jasmine's a little fuzzy today. She's enjoying Gratitude Day with a fuzz and a haze around her.
That's okay.
So, tell me a little bit about organic therapy, how it started, and what you specialize in.
Okay, I'm a holistic practitioner. I've been at this, I guess, in Winnipeg for about 34 years. So I started because I had my own journey of wellness, and I was quite sick with a lot of health issues and a lot of pain in my body. So my body was broken at one time. I won't go into details, but the physicians actually said I would never walk again normally. And I had a host of diseases ranging from IBS, colitis, ileitis, spastic fissures. I even had endometriosis. I had eczema. I had psoriasis, keratitis, inflamed skin conditions. I also was allergic to almost everything under the sun. And I'm like Asian, by the way, and I was allergic to rice. And I would have seizures with rice. So how could you have, seizures with rice and even coconuts? And I go, that's insane. So I always thought people were poisoning me. I thought they were out to get me. And I couldn't figure how, they actually were getting to me, but it wasn't, it wasn't them. It was me. I was actually auto-intoxicated inside of me. So, when everybody is, toxic to different degrees. That is my contention, that everyone needs a detox. We're all inflamed slightly because of toxicity in our world. And so, even these alternative to health things that I do, like acupuncture, they're not as effective in this day and age as they were probably 50 years ago or even 20 years ago, because our whole central nervous system and our whole body is loaded with chemicals. And that's according to environmental scientists, that we have about 500 chemicals, circulating in our system any given time. Every day we're exposed to about 70,000 chemicals in the atmosphere. So in the year 1950, there was about 500,000 tons of chemicals in the environment. In the year 2000, there was 150 million. In the year about 2018, there was 400 million tons. So the thing is that we're constantly exposed to these toxic chemicals. So we have, an inflamed condition. We already are toxic. So people, when they think of doing detox, they think of something very simple, and it doesn't necessarily work. And even with acupuncture, it's interesting because I started my journey with looking into acupuncture, having someone do acupuncture on me. But it didn't work, and it was extremely painful. And you know what? I kept persisting and seeing different therapists when I could. I was debilitated by pain, so I took a host of, painkillers And, the thing was that, I was paralyzed more by pain, not by like some, other like illness. But the thing is, acupuncture didn't work, but a lot of people said, oh, maybe it doesn't work. But as I started detoxing, as I started to clean up my own system, because acupuncture works on the central nervous system and it
Yeah.
causes biochemical changes in your body, but it's very subtle. It's very powerful, but subtle. And the thing is that if you're not, as clear as you should be, it does not work that properly.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that sometimes people come and see me and then they do a session and they'll say it didn't work, or, but it takes a bit. And of course, one time it doesn't work. But the thing is that it's interesting that even when I was talking to my chiropractor, he was saying that long time ago, like chiropractors, like way back in 1895, Palmerston College, like this guy named, I think it's Daniel David Palmer, he started, this chiropractic school, and he was claiming he could like pop out, tumors from cancer. And he was claiming that, he even cured people from deafness. And so, chiropractic work used to be really, really amazing and worked really well. Same with acupuncture. But nowadays, when we're so clogged up, it doesn't work as well. And it's interesting that when I've done over 750 detoxes in my lifetime, I continue, to still do some detoxes just for maintenance. And, the clearer I am in my channels, guess what? The acupuncture works just like, fish to water, bees to honey. It is so amazing. I take to it now. But you have to get there. I guess you have to have a whole program, of wellness.
Yeah, it's the whole encompassing circle, right? Like it kind of goes from A to B to and then B to C. And so what kind of, like, when we're talking detoxes, like a lot of people here, like, have that what was it, that lemon water with the cayenne pepper and have
Yeah.
nothing else to eat for 7 days. What kind of detoxes are we talking about here that
And
actually kind of help get rid of inflammations?
well, you know what? That's Stanley Burroughs detox. You know what? He invented that detox in 1949. And again, I stated in 1950, there was 500,000 tons of toxic chemicals in the environment. So he had cayenne pepper, lemon, and he had maple syrup. I've tried that for 7 days, up to 21 days. I think it's great if you want to, have insulin resistance and gain a lot of fat. I think it's wonderful. I mean, I've done that one. So I don't care how people detox, but as long as they try, so you can have clay baths to help detox EMFs, but you got to do it properly. And the thing is that most detoxification people don't realize, like I also do colonics, and they think colonics is something really strange, and scary, but it's not. I've had hundreds of colonics done on myself. I learned to do it on myself now. So it's like a high enema. And I mean, I love your name. It's called The Filthy Truth, and,
It's
I
just agree with
gravitate
it.
towards names like that. So whenever I'm traveling, I always, try to be a connoisseur and explore other people's businesses and practices to see if I can learn something. So colonics is not the end all be all, but it is a powerful but gentle way of facilitating removal of toxic waste from your bowels. But that's the end product. The first line of defense is food, environment, and
Mhm.
that, and even, our skin. And the last line of defense is actually the colon. But when I, took colon therapy as a course, they're always teaching that colonics is like death begins in the colon. That was Dr. John Walker. And then Dr. Kellogg, who was Kellogg's cornflake, he did 100,000 autopsies and found that everyone's bowels were, really destroyed and they weren't healthy. So he concluded that people needed more fiber. I mean, he was on the right path, but this was in the 1900s. So it was interesting. So that's, part of the colonics. But a lot of people think I'm roto-rooter, so they think they'll be fixed after one session. And I always tell them I'm not roto-rooter, but I do facilitate a program. So, I mean, in terms of, like clearing the body, you have to have three main components. One is to mobilize, toxins from the body. And then you have to capture it with absorbent materials like chlorella, apopectin, bentonite clay, charcoal. And then third is excretion, rinsing, laxatives, enemas, colonics. So if you don't have those three main components, you're sorely lacking in a detox program. So, I build programs for people, and the one thing, Lynn, is with any of this, it requires hard work to achieve any results. So say if people are coming to me for for acupuncture, to relieve stress, like you were talking about relieving stress, it works wonderfully, but a lot of times people don't give it enough of a chance. And because they're so congested, it just doesn't work for them as well. So then I may suggest something else to them. And in due time, I would ask that they persist with acupuncture because it is a wonderful tool for healing.
Mhm.
I've seen it myself. And again, it's amazing. Like a few years ago, I'm just going to sidetrack here. There was, doctors, maybe in the year like 2000, 1990s, they never believed in acupuncture. They thought it was like voodoo, right?
Yeah,
And I
crazy.
even had doctors tell me that. So then, what they started doing, I don't know which, research hospital, but they would put, they would do acupuncture in areas that were diseased or had illness. And then they would do, say, for 20 minutes, they take out the needles, and then they did an MRI, and they found that, say, if it was, blue or red in the areas that had deficiencies or that were diseased, it actually balanced the whole body and it showed healing. So then doctors, I think, started believing it because they use MRIs to actually scan and say, wow, it actually works. And there was proof. And then they actually started adapting it, and saying that, yeah, it can work. And then they also started doing, I think in the 1990s, in relation to, I guess, Chinese hospitals, they would actually have people be under partial anesthetic. And I've actually seen videos of this, and they would use it as an analgesic. So then they would actually have someone cut open, and they were wide awake, not feeling pain because of the acupuncture
For
on the
real.
in
That's
combination.
unbelievable.
Yeah, so it is powerful in a way, but it's not as effective as it used to be. And again, it's because our world is toxic. So when you think of 70,000 toxic chemicals in our environment, and so I've done a lot of cleanses and I'm still toxic. I ascertained that I am still toxic. So that's why I do maintenance. And it's like a house. You clean your house and next day you go in it and it's dirty
It's
again.
dirty, yeah.
And so
And
the
if you
thing
have
is,
my family, it's probably dirty about 20 minutes after you clean it, so
yeah, you have dogs like
and we have got
boxers.
3. Yeah, I got 3.
Boxers
You
at
yeah,
home.
yeah, 3
Yeah.
boxers.
Yeah. So for sure. So is
It's crazy here.
yes, exactly. So you know what? It's not that it's impossible, but it is that it requires consistency in the program, and that's where people trip up. And I would say 90, maybe more than 90% of my patients, when they come in, they don't follow through because they're wanting a quick fix.
Yeah.
But I would say it's well worth the effort because I have seen people who have lived, who are terminal with days, like days away from being terminal, and 15 years later. I remember one of my clients said to me, Jasmine, I was days left, I was terminal, only days left to live, and she had double breast cancer. So the thing was that she persisted, and, it paid off in the end. So, that's the thing. And yeah.
See, that's a great story because that's always what I always lead to. If you put in the work every single day to do something for your health and your wellness, you could like look at that lady. She literally bought years on her life by doing the work
Yeah.
every single day by doing one thing that needed to kind of help cleanse the body. So, let's talk about this different types of inflammation that we're talking about. Like where's the inflammation? Where does it I know that this is like in a general sense, but like a general sense, where does most inflammation in the body go and how come it gets there?
There's a lot of genetic factors in. So depending on your genetic predisposition to, whatever your family brings on into the plate. So whenever I have a patient, I always ask them about their background, their parents or grandparents. So then if you have a weakness, then that is where most likely the information would target, and that is where we conglomerate. But having said that, right now, like everybody is toxic because even if you have a sore knee, that's inflammation.
Yep.
And then when you think of, you know, glyphosates, like an environment like Roundup, everyone who takes processed foods, that causes inflammatory response, and they think, it's fine. And even if you drink a can of Coke, so even if you smoke weed or you smoke, those are inflammatory kind of producing, foods and like just like and substances. So it would actually go to where you are the weakest, most likely. So yeah, like GI problems,
Yeah.
gastrointestinal, a lot of see a lot of IBS, and there's a lot of people with colitis these days, and there's even an increasing, amount of like IBS, and it's because of the different chemicals. And don't forget, if you have Roundup, and then you have another chemical like say DEETs or something, and then you have this bioaccumulation, and the environmental scientists don't even know what one or two, let alone 500, does to your body, but it actually erodes your system. So there is like thyroidism that is related to, and a lot of gals I see have a lot of hypothyroid issues, and or else there's a lot of gut issues as well.
Do you
So
deal with a lot of leaky gut?
lots.
Yeah, because that can, so can you just quickly, I had somebody else on here before, but they had a harder time explaining it. Can you explain what leaky gut is? Because a lot of people hear this and they're like, oh, but it's a for real thing. And
Yes, it
most
is.
people have it.
Can you see the camera
Yep.
back there?
Yep.
Okay, so that is an iris scan. So the thing is that it actually reads the eyes, and is Bernard Jensen. So what you do to your body can actually manifest in how it looks in your eyes. So the thing is that I can actually see leaky gut if you understand how to read it. So leaky gut, how I see it, is actually a permeation, and is actually eroding of your cell structures in the intestinal wall. So they actually have larger sort of like holes in it, if you could call it. And so then it actually permeates with different parts of the body. So there's auto intoxication. So then there's actually undigested food particles, which actually can, stay in your gut too. And there's putrefaction. So then even if you have bacteria, you have yeast, you have fungus, you have parasites, it can actually migrate to different parts of the body, via the intestinal tract. So if you have leaky gut, it's almost like there's more of holes in your cell, like intestinal lining. I don't know if that makes sense. And the other thing is what creates leaky gut too is, again, when you think of toxicity, so when you think of everyone's inflamed, guess what creates inflammation too? All those chemicals.
Mhm.
So that erodes your gut. So the thing is that you have all these little holes. And also the other thing, Lynn, is besides stress, because it creates acidity, but the thing is, people eat really fast, and then they, don't chew their food, and that can actually harm the intestinal lining. It
If you
actually,
eat too fast, for real?
over a period of a few years, it does, does do that. So people don't realize that, it's all these habits that you have to reverse. So it's, we have to take control and be mindfully aware of our own body. And, that can get you to a better health. And yes,
So
some,
I need to slow down my eating because I'm like, when I'm like starving, like it's like a vacuum cleaner. It's
okay.
seriously, it's all, and then
So
so that literally can create leaky gut. I did not know that.
yes. So, but think of the chemicals, because, like, you think Coca-Cola is good for you? Come on, you
No.
think, and even if you think of aspartame and all these non-nutritive, like chemicals like that, and aspartame has been linked to even seizures and other things like tachycardia, cardiac arrhythmia, and people don't realize how harmful that one chemical is. Then when you think of a multi-chemical, the bisulfides and nitrates, in some of our foods. So that's why it's important. Also the GMO, it's actually eroding our own internal system. So yes.
Yeah, and that's a big problem, eh? Because a lot of people think what they're eating is healthier, but they don't really take a look at the ingredients. Like anybody can make, everybody who hears vegan thinks it's healthy, but you can actually be a
Sure.
vegan and weigh 400 pounds because of the processed foods that you can get that's quote unquote vegan. But the thing at the end of the day is the processed foods is processed foods. It doesn't matter if it's vegan, if it says keto, if it says fat free or whatever the hell on their Weight Watchers. So through people who are doing all of these like processed foods and stuff like that, if they come to you and they say, hey, I want to fix my gut, what are the first questions that you kind of go through, and how is that process for that person coming to see you?
They do a consultation. So I start with a consultation, What are you drinking, Lynn? What was that?
It's a club soda.
Okay, I'm only kidding.
Everybody thinks it's beer. I don't drink. I don't drink any alcohol. I've been sober for 4
I'm
years.
only kidding.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just club
Okay,
soda.
no, I'm only kidding.
No, that's
Sorry.
okay.
I said, was that a like
Looks
some
like Bud
kind of
Light.
a Diet Coke? I didn't
No, yeah.
think you
Oh,
were.
I don't drink any pop. I don't drink
Okay,
anything
I'm
with.
sure.
This is my bad habit. Is club
So
soda.
the process, I've actually simplified it. I mean, a lot of people come in with a diagnosis. They come in with a sheet like like, oh, my doctor told me I had this and this, and I don't care about the diagnosis in some to some extent, because the bottom line now, I simplify my practice such that um, it doesn't matter. Almost every single thing I can relate to this person's disease or ill health is to the toxic burden overload. If you're seeking me out, you're seeking for other answers, alternative. And over years of practice, I find no matter what, there's one commonality, that some of these people with all these problems, whether it's diabetes or stroke or even hypothyroid, even obesity, there's one thing, and everyone has a toxic burden overload. And I just stand by that. And so the thing is that, people do come, like I had a gal in a few days ago, and she had, some gut problems. I know already it's a gallbladder. She was asking for reflexology. She wants the simple things, and she
Mhm.
thinks that will fix it. And I'm going, wow, you can actually fix it, and you don't need a cholecystectomy. You don't need a gallbladder surgery. You can actually do it through, different flushes and programs, but it is hard work, and it may require some discomfort, and that's where people trip up, because they're afraid of pain these days. We've become wimps, haven't
We
we?
really have. We really have. And the other problem is that we've become so dependent on that quick fix, that quick the quick solutions to making our bodies feel better, right? Anything where, I mean, think about it, the gastro bypass surgery, for somebody who can actually
Yes.
lose the weight. And I'm not saying, because there's a place for it, and I truly believe that there is a need for certain people for sure. But if you think about people, and I know a few off the top of my head that had actually lost the weight and they were no longer legible for it, but because they got off the list and they didn't believe they can get it, they actually gained the weight back. I'm not lying. This
Oh
was a
yeah.
client of mine. She put the weight back on so that
Uh,
she can go for the stomach surgery. I saw
oh my
her
gosh.
a few years later and she had put all the weight back on. I have a relative in my family who went for it and probably has maybe 50 pounds more now than she did before
Yes.
she went for the. So everybody's looking for this quick fix, this quick snap of a finger, but the work is there, right? So Jasmine, can you explain to me like a little bit of what that work looks like when they go through your program?
Okay. So when they come in, then I do an assessment. So I do the R scan, but then I actually sort of navigate away from there, and I start actually an educational kind of session where I'm teaching them to understand their body and respect their body, period. That is where I start. I get them to take a nice deep breath in before they actually sit in my chair. And then I mean, in the counseling here, and then I get them to actually physically write, some pointers, and I try to keep it simple. So, I may say a lot, but I always tell them that what's meant for them to understand will stay with them, because we're going to have to build a program. And people sometimes jump from one thing to the other all the time, but I'll take them through this. And then a lot of times people come and say, yeah, I want to do the colonic. And again, that also is another way of me to assess, actually through fecal matter. I know it sounds funny, but there's a tube and I actually
Yep.
see what goes through. And you can actually see parasites. Believe me, I've seen a lot of stuff. So the thing is that it doesn't surprise me, but guess what? It could tell me where you're at with your health too. So all these things, we can paint a picture of how you are, but also, Lynn, the thing is that if they had a certain type of lifestyle and they come in and they're like, I'm not saying they can't change, but if you're in your 50s and 60s and you have a certain type of lifestyle, and if you're prepared to change, as long as you're on this side of God's green earth, you can change,
Yep.
but it requires more commitment. So then when you're in your 20s and 30s coming in, I think you have a better chance of committing to it because you haven't had those bad habits,
You haven't had
of
the years of
eating.
it.
So, but having said that, Okay, so then I take it through usually looking at their diet, at supplementation, and detox. And again, I've had people who've had like 151 food allergies. I might have had 150
Oh, she
2 at
froze.
one thing
Yeah.
is that again it's not the food, it's not gluten intolerance, because a lot of times people say, Jasmine, I'm gluten intolerant. I got off gluten and I was better, and now a few years later I'm worse. I don't know what to do, and I got off dairy and now I still can't. It's that they have a weak gut. Their
Mm-hmm.
weak gut is, and their chaos in their gut. So it's a manifestation, is the food allergy or the inability to digest these foods or tolerate these foods. It's not the food, it's the person. So then if you clean up on the inside, and I'm just going to use a simple analogy, and again, those 3 points, you got to put something like an activator. So if you wash dishes, you always have to put dish soap, and then you have to scrub, spray, rinse, and soak, and then you got good dishes. So you got to be target specific to what the person's issues are, and then you got to maybe get them on the proper supplements and then the proper program. And every program is slightly different. And I'm glad that some of my patients come in. They said they did Wild Worlds or something through VitaHealth, and that's great because it shows that they're self motivated.
Yep.
And those programs that you get through the health food store is good to start with. They're innocuous enough, but they're not like professional grade. They shouldn't be. It's like the difference between an aspirin and a morphine. I'll carry
Yep.
the morphine of the cleanses, and they're doing the aspirin, but at least they're starting, because a lot of people say, I've done the program there, I don't feel that well. But they've tried, and again, they might have just done something like put on, like I'm using an analogy of laundry soap or dish soap, but then they didn't mobilize it, they didn't excrete it, so
Yep.
then they're all intoxicating themselves. And then in the large intestines, there's about say 16% all intoxication. Doesn't sound like a lot. So if you don't clean it out, everything that you put in, you go back in eventually, and then you defeat the purpose of
Doing the
cleansing.
detox.
So yeah, it's really interesting. It's fascinating that way.
That's pretty cool, actually. I actually have a question here, and so we'll ask it from one of our viewers right now. What are your thoughts on colonoscopies?
You know what? It rules out what you don't have. I've talked to several different specialists and doctors, and one thing I remember one person said to me, how allopathic medicine is that they do a lot of testing, and the reason being is that they try to rule out what you don't have. So 99% of my patients who do colonoscopies, it rules out what they don't have. So most of them have nothing. And then what? I don't care what your diagnosis is. I say, go get it. But the majority of the time, it rules out what you don't have. So you're back to square one. And, I like to go away from that compartmentalized medicine because, the thing is, people love being, I think, boxed in to say, I have an issue. Have a thyroid issue. Oh, I have this issue, because then they're victimizing themselves and they feel that, okay, now I'm pegged in. I'll be obese the rest of my. You're doing this.
You're singing to the choir here, and I love it.
Oh, okay, but you get my drift, right? Because
I
you.
totally, yeah.
So then it's really sad. You got to rethink reality. I make people actually rethink reality. So it is really, really hard. And I tell them I'm making them rethink reality because they're taught one thing. And as you know, in this world, it's so upside down right now. The reality isn't what you think it is. So again, with health too, when we're talking about detoxification, and even with these kind of shots, so-called shots, there's so many things to do, but they're erroneous. And I'll tell you, they got to rethink reality. As long as you get your inflammation down, you're off to a good start to start healing even from these injuries. And I am confident on that. There has been different supplements that actually will work and been shown to work with people that are, like researchers in this field, for helping with the shots, right? And so then, they can actually degrade, they can actually stop the mutation of RNA, and they can actually help, stop all that storm of the inflammation. But you know what? Sometimes it doesn't work as well when people think, well, I'm just going to do something simple. You actually have to hit it almost with everything you got, because it's a new kind of thing that I'm exploring, because I've never worked with, a synthetic like that.
Yeah.
So that is in the shots. I'm just saying.
Yep. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is just
I
my
don't.
Go ahead.
No, yeah, you're right though, because I don't think anybody's quite seen something like this, right? So nobody really knows how it's going to react to the body, but it does cause inflammation. Almost everything in this world causes,
Bingo.
especially this. So when
Bingo.
you're thinking about with the inflammation that we're getting from this, when we're thinking about the inflammation, what for anybody who is vaxxed that watches this show, and you guys are experiencing inflammation, that can look like what? That can look like joint pain. That can look like what? What can that look like for
Heart.
like as a physical thing?
Um, the heart. I have a friend who yesterday, post 6 months after, like her brother, post 6 months after his second double,
Mhm.
he started experiencing pain, and they said it was ventricular. I don't know, it was angina or something, but it was some kind of name from the Mayo Clinic. And so the thing here it is, itis. Anything you have itis, myocarditis, pericarditis. So then here's an inflammatory response condition to your body, and it's like it's crazy. So it's actually microclotting. So it depends where it goes, right? Where it migrates. So then even you could have worse knees than you were, or RA, like rheumatoid arthritis, all of a sudden manifests, whereas you didn't quite have it before. So yeah, and there's a lot of ways to stop that. I mean, I have some really juicy formulas here, but I won't say, like really some off the wall stuff. And then if you saw I don't know if I can touch you. Have you ever seen that vampire cupping? I mean, this is totally. Have you seen that from
No, but
vampire?
I do like normal cupping. Like, what is this vampire cupping?
Could you see if I send something to you right now? No.
If you send it through the private chat, my
Well, can I send it to your face? I don't know how to
yeah,
do.
you can send it to my Facebook
Okay,
account.
because see, I'm so bad at this. Internet stuff, as
Yeah,
you
no,
can
no
see.
problem. While you're kind of doing that, I just kind of really want to reiterate what you said, which is, you guys, so many people play the victim when it comes to their own health. It's somebody else's responsibility. It's somebody else's fault if you're feeling sick, if you're feeling whatever, if you're feeling whatever. The problem is that this is a time and an opportunity where we actually get to stand up for our health. We get to take responsibility for our health, because you know what? It's nobody else's choice what goes into your body except for you. So I even when I see and I hear, and I just had a couple conversations in the last, I'm going to say 48 hours, of so many people saying, I have to do this and I have to get it and I have to whatever, or else what else am I going to do? Well, the thing is that you still have the choice. So you made the choice to do it, or you made the choice to go to McDonald's and eat that, or you made the choice to drink a 12 pack, or you made the choice to throw a needle in your arm and get high on heroin, or you made the choice to put powder in your nose, or you made the choice. And it is your responsibility to either get clean, or it is your responsibility to detox, and it is your responsibility to help detoxify your body, because at the end of the day, we are full. Like, I mean, you just have to look up in the sky with the chemtrail,
Chemtrails.
and
Chemtrails.
it is like we're full of it. So when you think about that, it is the work and it is your responsibility to get off your ass and call people like Jasmine to help change what this is. Like, you have to change your health. I mean, and that's the bottom line, is you have to do the work.
Rethink reality. Seriously, rethink reality. It's, and again, like I said, like Sandy Burroughs, I love the name Master Cleanse from 1949. I wish I, had that name, because everyone loves that name. So the thing is that it doesn't work as well as it does now. So there's a lot of cleanses that are floating out there that are marginal and they're okay. But the one thing that I think everyone could do to start alkalizing themselves is just juicing vegetables. And a lot of people say, Jasmine, juicing vegetables is hard work, and they're saying it's you need the
So
fiber.
simple.
And a lot of people come because they're constipated, right? Well, I say, you're already eating fiber, ain't working. It's not that your body, like your intestinal tract is really weak and your large intestine isn't working. So, juicing can actually release the enzymes and the nutrients in the vegetables to help you start healing. So it's like a whole vitamin cocktail. So I get everyone to start vegetable juicing, especially people who are my patients who, had cancer, even pancreatic cancer, anything. Juicing is like a way of life. And I think it's almost necessary. And people who are, I guess, or have good intentions, they'll go buy a juicer, and then you know what they'll say? It's so hard cleaning it. And I said, yeah, it's hard cleaning it, but it's also hard to be sick. Your choice.
Can you put that message from Mish up on the screen there, Alex? So here's a question for you there. The opiate that was given for my son for a dislocated shoulder 10 years ago caused him anxiety, which he now suffers from. How do you remedy that?
Oh, that's interesting. I have to think about that. The opiate was given for dislocated. Is he still on opiates or was he off now? Like, is it continual? Like it says from 10 years ago. So he how many rounds like of opiates and when was he off of it? I need, you know,
A little
that's
more
a
detail. Yeah,
right.
that's a good question though. Like that's opiates are really, really. I had gone for surgery and they had to give me an opiate for painkiller, and I was so scared to take it because I know how addictive those things are. I don't really have an addictive personality, so it doesn't really like it. I just took what I needed to get through the pain for probably the first week. And I started actually cutting off of it a little bit too early, which then the pain was even like it almost like it sets you back a little bit, but he's off of it now. And yeah, so I took it for about a week and a half and I had to get the hell off of that. That shit was crazy.
Well, you know what? I mean, I have addictive personality. I love opiates. You know, I mean, seriously, when I had them, and I'll tell you, I had a friend in university. So, I mean, my background is I have a BSc, and then I've studied acupuncture overseas. I do have other, degrees and other certifications. But one of my friends in university, her father was a doctor, and I remember when it was after university when I got severely injured because I mean, like I used to do a lot of marathons and I've cycled across, Canada on my own and all that and run mountain races. But I got injured through my own stupidity. But my friend, saw me suffering. She goes, Jasmine, unnecessary suffering is not virtuous. So, that I realized. So I'm all for narcotics to a point, and I'm serious about this. I'm all for certain pharmaceuticals to a point, and I'll say to a point, and even sedatives, because when a lot of people come to me from insomnia, but insomnia is such a multi-layered, problem, and we can explore it through essential oils. But detoxification of the liver specifically, all the excitotoxins in your body can be similar to that. And then let's talk about EMF detoxification that can actually contribute to to insomnia. So then you got attack your insomnia with different avenues. But getting back to the opiates, you know what, if people are in intense pain and they're not willing to put the work out, unnecessary suffering is not virtuous. Then
No, it's not.
I have people who do sedation through like sedatives, and they want to get off of it, but they just don't they can't because it's going to disrupt their lifestyle, meaning that they work 9 to 5 or whatever, they have to go to an office. Some don't nowadays, but if you have to, how do you function Monday to Friday? And you might have a kid or two, you might have, a partner. So the thing is, you got all these, variables taken into consideration, and it's hard. And what's great, for insomnia, yeah, acupuncture is great, coupled with some
Yep.
other supplements and herbs. But there's but if you want to explore, like insomnia deeper, it's multifaceted. But talking about the opiates, getting back to that, like if you need it, like I said, I would say that you should take it because if you don't want to do hard work, do Valium for sleeping or whatever.
Yeah.
Honestly, and yeah, like
So
and then
she was saying that he's off of it now. He did one round and it was fentanyl. That
oh.
that was that's a big one.
Yeah,
So
and there is a, you know what? There was a great detox, but some of these detoxifications are complicated. So there is one that actually is from a Narcanon program. That is great for detoxification, and the thing is that it involves infrared saunas, not steam. It could have a regular sauna, but regular saunas are 4 times less effective. So it's not as efficacious as an infrared just because it penetrates your cells.
yeah.
So the thing is that you have to do the right dosing of certain supplements, and then you follow a procedure, and you have to be ideally in an infrared sauna. And they've actually done this in like Narcanon programs 30-40 years ago in the States.
Mhm.
So I do that kind of program. So
Do
the
you
thing
have
is,
the infrared?
Yes, I have an infrared sauna.
See, I
So,
didn't know that.
but
That's
so you
awesome.
know what? You got to do it almost consecutively, Lynn. So then when that person with opiates, even if it's like, it's, again, if it's fentanyl, it's 10 years ago, you can see that it's still staying in your system because you didn't mobilize it. You didn't start cleaning it. So it stays there and it actually can recirculate. So then when you're mobilizing it, you also have to capture it. So then there's supplements with that. And you slowly build a program, but you got to do it almost 30 days in a row in an infrared sauna. So you can't do it like sauna once a week. It's better than nothing if you do a sauna once a week. And it's if infrared, all the better. But the thing is, you got to start somewhere. Where do you want to be in like 2 years? Better, same, or worse, or 2 months? So that is the question you want to answer. Do you want to be better? Then you got to start moving in that direction. Period.
Absolutely. So
Yep.
I have a girl here with the sciatic. We had a sciatic. I had it when I was pregnant with my kid, and I had to go for deep tissue massage. And now I have that anti-gravity thing where that freaking like hang upside down thing.
Inversion gravity. Yes.
Yeah, inversion table.
Yep.
Those are the two things I found work best for sciatica. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I'm reading. Okay, is that the one? I don't understand
Yeah,
why
this is the one
doctors.
right here.
Okay,
Yeah.
hand out some stuff. Freely hand out some stuff. I have sciatic hip and was given 3 potent drugs. I haven't touched them yet. I'd rather be in pain. That's interesting. Um,
But she had a friend. I think she was one of the ones that had a friend that was addicted to it. But yeah, so that's
and then I
what are
had
your thoughts on that?
gabapentin for back pain. So is that topical or is that oral gabapentin? Because there's a topical form.
Gabapentin is a
Right.
anti-inflammatory muscle relaxant.
So is she
It is
doing it
oral medication.
or topical?
I used to be on it for my. It's an oral. I used to be
Well,
on it
I
for
have,
my disc
because there's
pain.
also a topical form that you can actually put. So I'm just curious what she has. There's topical
She
too.
says oral.
Okay, it's
She says
oral.
oral.
Okay, because the topical one I think isn't as harmful, and like I said, if that pain is so bad that you can't function, like me, I was partially disabled for 18 months, couldn't even hardly get out of bed, and took 20 different types of like 20 painkillers a day. I mean, like, I was pretty happy back then in some ways. So I can't remember it, but I must have been. I survived it.
Yep.
And like, yeah, you have to get off of it eventually. But again, I realize that people are in, precarious situations, and everyone, has, different lifestyles. So, yeah, you can get off of it. But if you have sciatic pain, then yeah, you have to do, you can do acupuncture, you can do
Mhm.
stretching and good physiotherapy. And again, good traction, like Lynn, what you're
Yep.
doing. And then there's also core stabilization. But when people come, they'll say for a sciatic pain, they might come once every like, oh, I'm going to come in 2 weeks. Is that okay? No, I want you to
That's
come
it.
three
Yep.
times this week.
Yep.
They don't want to do it like it should be done. And they don't value, I actually think most people don't value their health because they'll say, well, my insurance ran out. Yeah, but your life didn't. So,
Yep.
your life still goes on after your insurance. And so a lot of people base their health on their insurance. So then when they run out of insurance, they'll say, I can't come to you, Jasmine. And I'm going, but, they were getting better. And it is not easy to go through, excruciating pain and healing. And I mean, I can be a testimony to that. I ran a race once, a Deadwood Marathon. It was a half marathon, and it was something like 8,750 feet above sea level.
Holy shit.
Whereas we're 800, 985 feet above sea level. We're about 1,000, right, in Winnipeg.
Yep.
So I was training, how hilly Winnipeg is.
So many
Especially
hills in Winnipeg.
especially that hill. What is that? That
That
hill that you.
there's that garbage hill there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, right. So here I was, and I always either go hard or go home. And, I should have just maybe went home. But anyway, so then I went in this Deadwood race, and it was a half marathon, and it was amazing. But guess what? I got my period because I wasn't even expecting it, because the thing was that the pressure was so amazing up there. And you're in a hotel room, you open your toothpaste and it blows up, and you don't expect that because you're here at sea,
Yep.
at sea level. And it's so weird. And so going there, but that destroyed my knees. It was like intense. I mean, I finished it very well, got a little medal. But then within like 4 to 6 weeks, oh yeah, I had nosebleeds when I was there because of the pressure too, right? But coming back, I injured my knees to the point where I was so debilitated. And this was years later, after my first set of injuries. And then it took me about 5 years to really heal, but I put on like herbal salves with comfrey root and different on both of my knees because they were so destroyed and inflamed. And I feel blessed because I have the ability to do my own acupuncture. So I was able to do that. And then I did my own salves. And then I did my own little concoctions, right? I did some strengthening, but it took about 5 years where I was able, at first, I couldn't walk up and down the stairs. I was in that much pain. Then I slowly could walk up the stairs and I slowly could walk down the stairs. And the thing is, I destroyed my knees, but it took a slow 5 years to heal. But I had to do this diligently a few times a day where I applied, different poultices and different herbal remedies. And then I got through it. So, that kind of pain, most people, like my friend, she went for knee surgery. But guess what? This is a few years later, and now her other knee's blown. She has not run. She has not been able to be active again. And it's sad because where do you want to be again? Once you have these surgeries, you're never the same because sometimes, you got scar tissue formation and then you're stiffer than ever. And the thing is that, they say, oh, I feel great as long as I don't move. Well, you destroy your body sometimes by surgery. Yeah, it was hard for 5 years, but, I guess I'm just persistent that way and it did heal. But that's what natural healing is. It's laboring under correct knowledge, LUCK. So people say I'm lucky. Yeah, I labored under correct knowledge.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing. So Jasmine, we're going to wrap things up here because this is part 3 and part 4 is continuing on Monday next week. So how can people get a hold of you? Are you super backed up on time, or can people book in with you and come and see you sometime this week?
Yeah, they could. It's best to get either. Should I give you my cell here? Oh yeah, right there.
Yep, organictherapy.ca.
So you can email me at jasmine@organictherapy.ca, or you can text me at my cell at 204-803-7820. That's 204-803-7820. I don't ever answer cells because that's another form of toxicity. It's the EMF things, and we could talk about that, man.
We could talk about
a lot of detoxification to that, and that again disrupts. That's a hormone disruptor. Even
well, yeah, these are those blue light blocker lights. I actually I almost can't even do a computer screen without them anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what? If you did red lights and you shot that into your eyes and you actually had a red light, it doesn't matter. You can actually start reversing some of the damage that you've gotten done from these EMFs. Seriously. So, yeah, there's so many things. I mean, I'm even wearing shungite right now. So, that's a whole new kind of detox thing. So there's a lot of aspects of detoxification. And, okay, well, getting back, one last thing about acupuncture is that that's what we intended to start with. So, can acupuncture help detox you? I guess if you do it properly and consistently, say for something like, for if you're for addictions, narcotic addiction, smoking, yes, you can. It can work, but you got to work at it and not just once a week. You have to do almost like a come back, religiously for a while, and it can actually help you. Plus, then you want to detox with the infrared and the program to help with, opiates or narcotics, combination of that can be, it will be really successful to help with detoxification for something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Jasmine from Organic Therapy, thank you so much for joining us tonight. That was a lot of information. This was a great conversation. Thank you so much for being on the same page of wellness as I am, because you know what? For a long time, I felt like I was alone. I just got to, since this freedom fighting movement, I've got to meet a few of you guys that are just all about, putting in the work and calling people out exactly the way that you're doing. It's not a one-off. It's not a show up every third week. It's every single day. And if you, especially even for you, Laura, dealing with a sciatica, it's putting in the work so that we're not in pain. I mean, we're in pain. It hurts. That means your body is telling you hey, I'm not feeling good. And it's telling you to take notice. So Jasmine, thank you so much. I look forward to our conversation next week with Organic Therapy.
Alrighty.
And again, you guys can get a hold of her, organictherapy.ca. Thanks, Jasmine.
Thank you, Lynn.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. All right, guys, this is our Monday wellness talk. If you guys want to hear more wellness stuff, then please let me know because we can definitely keep this series going after next week. I want to, again, big thank you to Organic Therapy, Jasmine, for doing all of that amazing work, for doing all that wellness stuff. If you guys are interested, please book a call with her, a consultation, and make sure to get yourselves involved. I wish I could turn the camera around right now because you guys would definitely be in for a treat. Have a wonderful Monday. Enjoy your gratitude day. I'm not going to say what we said earlier, but have a good night, everybody. We will talk to you soon. Mr. Alex, can you play some heavy metal and log us out of here? Bye, everyone.